Cedric, people of St. Martin, good morning to you also. Let me take this opportunity again, because it's something that I have to continuously do over and over, is thanking my staff. And they always say, if you want things, well, my mom would tell me that most of the time, if you want things to be done properly, you should give it to women, because they will always get the job done. And they have had my back during this time. I see all the ladies are smiling. But they had my back during this time. And I've not butted heads, but I can tell you, Minister of Health probably was pulling his hair out every time he would knock on the door and say, Minister, are you going to make a statement? Come on, you should say something. And I would tell him, no, I'm not going to react to every time the landfill or the dump is on fire. And the reason for that is next week it's going to be on fire again. And the week after that is also going to be on fire also. If you look at it right now, you would see pockets of smoke emanating and coming out from the dump, from the landfill. People of St. Martin, there is no time that the landfill or the dump, to call it what it is, it's not on fire. It's always on fire. And yes, we have received, like what the Prime Minister mentioned earlier, indications or word. The boys on the block say the streets are stuck. That there are individuals going around bragging that they are the ones who lit some of the fires on the dump. If that's what it is, then that's what it is. I believe an official complaint should be lodged at the prosecutor's office, but it will be looked into. However, and it's not that I didn't agree with what the health minister was telling me, because we had discussions on a number of situations concerning the landfill. It's just that you want things to be in perspective. And the Prime Minister is absolutely correct. And by extension, I got to say thank you also to my colleagues, because they have bear with me when I tell them over and over, no, I'm not going to do it this way, and no, I'm not going to do it that way. Just give me some time, and then I would come and present where we are today. I think Toncha Bonkampa himself is probably upset with me right now, because every day I'm on the phone with him concerning the handlers, concerning the contractors, concerning everything relating to the dump. But where are we today concerning the landfill? Here's where we are. As present now, the dump is simply telling the people of St. Martin, do not dump any more garbage on me. Don't put nothing there. I can't take it anymore. That's what the dump is saying. That's what's happening. We cannot put garbage on the dump anymore. And we dump everything on the dump. You name it. Car wrecks, mattresses, fridge, stove, household appliances, everything we dump on the dump. And yes, the Prime Minister is correct. We also take garbage from the cruise ships. We also take garbage from the front side. It all ends up one place, yes, on the dump. That's where it ends up. So what's the solution that we are working on right now? You simply can't put it there anymore. But you need to find somewhere else to put it. But not just take it as it is, the problem from one place, and locating it somewhere else, because then you're just doing the same thing over. It is time to separate the garbage. It's time to bale the garbage. It's time to crush the garbage. It's time to mulch the garbage. And that's where we are today. We and this government, this ministry, have isolated over 20,000 square meters of land that we have asked individuals to vacate, to move, because they have been occupying government land on the landfill for a number of years without paying the necessary EDFPAC or whatever there is. Property that belongs to the government, belongs to the people of St. Martin. We have isolated over 14,000 square meters of land for whatever waste to energy plant supposed to come. We have isolated over 10,000 square meters of land now to relocate plastic, cardboard, bottles, and those sort of things. We are in discussion with Mr. Mendez to set up the MORPH that's going to separate the garbage, that's going to bale the garbage. We are purchasing a machine and equipment that is have changing blades. That's going to cost the government of St. Martin over 250,000 euros. That's going to mulch pallets. That's going to crush them. That's going to crush tires. That's going to crush concrete and put it in one location. Those things have never been done before. Never have it been done before. Why? That's the question that one needs to ask. But this government is committed in solving this problem, and it will get solved. It will get solved. Agreements have been made before in the past. Agreements that now have to be terminated so that you can engage with other contractors, with other companies on a way forward, dealing with the dump. That's the reality of it. You can't simply fix it now. That's what everyone is saying. Fix it now. But fixing it now costs money. People of St. Martin, are you ready for a 25 gillar to be tagged onto your GB bill? 4 and 5 cents to be tagged onto every time you buy gasoline, raising prices even more? Because it comes with a cost. It comes with a cost. We have engaged with a company and we have told the contractor that has the Carex in the location, you have 3 months to vacate, to move. They are moving today as we speak. We are in talks with a company that's going to take all of that off of St. Martin for free. Every Carex. We don't have to spend not 1 cent. That's the engagement that the Ministry of Environment and this government has taken on thus far, dealing and isolating the situation on the landfill. Like I say, if you look at it right now, if you drive on the road, you would see pockets of smoke. A number of pockets of smoke because it is smoking. What needs to be done? We have to engage with a company that understands and has the technology that can come and drive the pipes in the soil, that can release the methane gas, so that fires on the dump can be a thing of the past. But that costs money. But we are in a very good talking stage with a company right now, and the government is committed in solving the problem. You have individuals putting up pictures. This is what the dump look like, and this is the solution, but that's exactly what it is. Just a picture. Nothing else. Just a picture. What we are talking about here is fact, reality, and action. That's what we are doing. No government before have decided to go up against individuals and say, this land belongs to government and we are taking it back. You have this time to move. And they are moving. 10,000 square meters. We have isolated property for the waste to energy or whichever other company we decide to go forward with in solving the problem. And yes, I'm going to say it again. Waste to energy is not an energy solution. It's a solution for the garbage. We have a garbage problem. And by dealing with the garbage, energy is produced. But many of the companies that are coming, 100% financing, we would do everything. They are concentrating on the energy. I am concentrating on the garbage. That's what I'm concentrating on. So it's not that the minister is not saying everything. And you're not going to get me to react all the time when the dump is on fire. I'm simply not going to do it. Because it's easy for me to come and just say something for saying its sake. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. But when I come and I speak to the people of St. Martin, it's because this is what I have done. This is where we are moving forward. And I believe with the backing of the Council of Ministers and the government, we are moving in the right direction. Dumping garbage on the dump will soon be a thing of the past. It will be a thing of the past. And then starting to mine it and release those gas is where we are engaging. And then we can move forward. Then we can move forward. We have individuals here who are ready, but where's the land for them to start? And I encourage again, and the Prime Minister said it, that the ministers finally decided to go and take a tour of the dump. But some of the media should go also. You would see the magnitude and the scale that we are dealing with. I think many of us at times underestimate what it is. Many of times. So I would have to ask each and every one of the media houses, have you ever been physically on the dump? Go and look at it. We have today at present 20,000 pallets. The Prime Minister and myself, well, he drove. So I'm not going to make it as if I took him to the dump. He was the one that drove. He saw me one day and he pointed his finger and said, come. And he pointed at the seat, come, let's go. And it was explained to me what is going to happen here. Explain to me how this is going to go. Explain to me about here. And then his input was, I think you should do it this way. I think this should be done that way. And I said, we're going to work with it, and we're going to work it out. There's 20,000 pallets. It's a hill almost as high as the dump itself. On the dump, in one specific location. We have another over 50, 60,000 tires on the dump. What we are going to do with that? Bring in the equipment that's going to shred and mulch those pallets. That you're going to create a biodegradable component that you can put out with all the mangroves on the island for free. Give it out. Because you create now a byproduct. We have companies that are willing to take the rubber, take the metal. That have never been done before. Never. No government, no minister past have decided to take this road. This is what it is, St. Martin, and this is going to happen again. But we are working on it. I can assure you that fires on the dump will soon be a thing of the past. But everything takes a process. Everything takes a process. And it's much more complicated than how it looks. You can't just decide to go after this one. You need to find out, what are you doing there? How have you gotten there? Who are you paying? There's a number of components that are added with the landfill. It's not just simply dealing with the situation now. But I can assure you that it has our priority. And we are working on it. We are working on it. Like I said earlier, we have moved certain companies from off of the dump that have been occupying there for a number of years. A number of years. Soon you would see a number of separating bins, yellow, blue, green. Another investment that we are going to take on. Another investment that we are going to take on. It is not for me. Or you don't want to get into the tug of war of why the dump get there, who put it there, what's the reasons for it being there. But I can tell you, there was engagement and agreement signed with companies that was taking on the whole brunt of St. Martin's problem concerning the landfill. The whole dump. And this problem would have been solved before, but today we are dealing with it, and it will get solved.
I actually wasn't going to make a statement today, but I've received a couple of phone calls and messages asking for some clarification about the charter that came in yesterday from Cayman Airways with bringing patients to Health City. First of all, thank you to the Prime Minister and Minister Gibson for a spectacular welcome home. It's nice of you to come out. You obviously missed me very much. Also, Winair was there. They're handling the incoming flight, and from a ground handling perspective, they're also very excited about the arrival of the charter from Cayman Islands. It was a good experience to be able to see exactly what our patients go through the entire arrival process, how they're handled at the hospital. It's nice to have met the administrative staff, the specialists, nurses, everybody there to get a good feeling for what our patients would experience. And I would say that I was impressed overall with the facilities and with the quality of care that they deliver. It is interesting also, obviously I hope people know, in Cayman they speak English. So for some of our patients in particular that are going to Colombia, some people don't always feel comfortable going to a Spanish-speaking country, so it is interesting to see how people interact there. This has been a process. I want to recognize that this is something that's started actually many years ago before my term. It started actually with a visit from Dr. Best, the inspector from St. Martin, and went to inspect the facilities to make sure that it was up to standards to send our patients there. And for information, Health City is a JCI accredited hospital, so it means they meet high international standards. And something that Health City has done a very good job of is building a relationship with St. Martin. They've been sending their marketing people, they've been sending technical people to St. Martin for many years, and they've built a very good relationship with specialists, in particular, on the island. And I think that's something that's an intangible, but it's something that's very important. I think that many of the opportunities to improve quality of patient care, as well as to improve the financial impact of our referrals, is how we treat patients, or how the relationship is managed before you're sent for your medical procedures, as well as when you return. So it's very important to find that the doctors are communicating with the hospital where they're referring patients to, so that they can explain what symptoms and make sure that the follow-up when they come back is there. And I think, again, in terms of managing overall quality of care and cost, that's very important. So why haven't we made very good use of the facility and the relationship in the past? And it really boils down to access. In terms of how do we get our patients there. To go via Jamaica or other routes, very often they have to overnight. To go via the U.S. is a problem because of visa issues. And so this has been identified and pointed out to Health City as a reason as to why we're not sending a lot of patients there. And that's where, although it was something that was in discussions already, as an outcome from attending on behalf of the Minister of TIAT to CHTA Marketplace in Bahamas in January, I met with the Deputy Premier, who is also the Minister of Tourism, a person that I've known in other capacities for many years, Honorable Moses Kirkconnell. And that's where we really said, okay, let's really make a decision about whether you're going to put this charter flight in or not. And sure enough, within several weeks, the first charter flight is in. I'm happy to report that they're taking a very cautious approach, because it is a long stretch for the Saab, and they're making sure that the fuel loads, the fuel burn rates are appropriate, and so they stop in Jamaica to refuel. And so they're very cautious to make sure that all safety protocols are being followed. I want to reiterate that this is SZV's decision to send patients to Cayman. I'm not involved in terms of determining where people are going or where they're not. In the end, those are SZV's decisions. Relationships with other countries continues, so we're still continuing to send patients to where we've been sending them, so Curacao, Aruba, Colombia. Fact is that SZV has a backlog. They have a backlog of about 100 patients that have been waiting for service. This allows them to tap the resources from Health City and take care of that backlog. It also then provides an opportunity for us to investigate whether this is a longer-term possibility, a relationship that continues, that can be built on. I've seen some comments about cost, that Cayman Islands is an expensive destination. And they're absolutely right. That's one of the reasons why I think it was good to go. Cayman Islands, for your information, they don't have any wage taxes in Cayman. So how do they fund their tax structure? Is through import duties. So that means that the people, the salaries that they earn, no taxes are taken out of it, and that's what they spend on their island. But to pay for that, they have an import duty. So it means that everything that's there that you buy, your food, your drinks, your beers, all of those things, are more expensive because they're heavily taxed. And that means that if you go around the island, in general, you would find that the cost of living is fairly high. However, what SZV has done is they've negotiated, basically, in putting it in tourism terms, an all-inclusive package. So by chartering the flight, they've managed to lock in a fare for the price for the airfare, which means sometimes if you send patients to other destinations, Colombia, etc., it depends on market rates. If the load factors are high, if you book late, your prices for your tickets are high. In this situation, our ticket prices have been fixed at a certain rate. The Health City also has accommodations on site. So those hotel facilities, those rooms, are also put into a bundle, as well as food. as well as their medical services. And interesting to look at is what they've arranged is with the medical services, rather than, let's say, sort of an a la carte pricing. In other words, as you go, you'll get your bill at the end from some of the other destinations, and they'll add on services and all types of additional accessories, let's say. They've negotiated a fixed bulk price per service. So when people say Cayman's expensive to live, it's true. Cayman's expensive to live. But from what we're looking at, from a medical perspective, we've locked in very attractive pricing, fixed pricing, so I see that it's competitive with other destinations. Certainly not astronomical. And these are things that we're going to work out and see how it really translates with this test phase of 6 to 8 weeks rotations where we're sending patients in to see in reality how does it work out. I'm also pleased the flight should be, as we speak, should be on its way back to Cayman. Ms. Parveen Borcha, the Chief Consumer Officer, and Ms. Carty, are one of the referral officers from SZV, is on the flight as well for them to experience it and also to accompany our first batch of patients that are going to Cayman to ensure that we deliver the best quality of care to the people of St. Martin, which they deserve. Last thing I want to touch on very briefly, it seems that everyone's talking about the dump today. One of the opportunities, there's a slide of the dump or in Cayman, actually. It's a landfill versus our dump. In Cayman, they've had experiences in the past where there are fires at the landfill on a fairly frequent basis. But they've now managed it, and they've brought it under control to the point where the fires are rare, if not non-existent. What's interesting, they have a dump/landfill. Their population size is roughly equivalent to the size of St. Martin. So they have a lot more land, but their population size and therefore the amount of garbage that they generate should be comparable. And their solution of a landfill is comparable. So what does that mean? It means that there's an opportunity to share best practices, worst practices, and to learn from each other in terms of what did they do to bring this under control. So comes down to a couple basic principles. Security, it was touched on today that there's possibilities of vandalism, arson, where people are setting fires. So it means you need to have proper security around the facilities that people who are not authorized to go don't go. And venting of the methane gas, that's something that the ministers touched on. And I think something that's very important is proper coverage of the landfill itself. It's very important that garbage, after it's compacted, is covered with soil. That prevents the oxygen from getting into feeding the fires. And I think that they've made a concerted effort to make sure that the facility is properly managed. And they are also working towards a longer-term solution. Same thing as St. Martin is. So again, we have similar parameters to the problem. Why can't we share information in terms of how we develop the long-term solution? So the flight, besides providing an opportunity for our people to get access to quality care, it's also an opportunity for us to deepen our relationship with the government of Cayman and to exchange best and worst practices. Thank you very much.
I'd like to start this morning by commending the police for the act that they took in memory of the late Anik Arundel in directing traffic. The symbolic act was very touching, although at first I was a bit worried when I heard that the brass was going to direct traffic. I was wondering if they still remember how to do so, but apparently they succeeded. But it was a very noble act, and I commend them for that. I would like to touch on press reports on the past days pertaining to the situation in the prison, where it was reported that guards were attacked by prisoners. If one read the reports, one would get the impression that there was a riot so happening. There was a fight in the prison. There was an unexpected confrontation between one or more prisoners and one or more guards. While this may sound strange or heartless, It is something that happens in prisons, whether in the best run, prisons. There are always encounters between prisoners among themselves and prisoners versus guards. Okay, so the fact of something like that happening is not an abnormal fact in a thing. What has to happen is management of prison and authorities and myself responsible, we have to do everything in our power to make sure that these things do not happen. And if in the event that they happen, that the damage that is done is limited. In this case, one of the guards got hit in the eye, and as such had to be hospitalized. The situation was brought under control immediately by the guards present, and as a matter of fact, even assisted by some of the prisoners to bring the situation under control. There was no need to call in the police to do so. It was immediately brought under control by the guards themselves. The detectives were called in by prison management based on the complaint of what happened. So the detectives came to investigate what happened, but it was not needed to have nor the riot squad of the prison or of the police to come in and take care of it. I just wanted to put the incident in the right perspective. The young man involved is doing pretty well. He's in the hospital for observations and to make sure that there's no lasting damage or whatever to the eye. And as far as the reports that I have, that is not the case. So to stay on the issue with the prison, yesterday, as a matter of fact, the follow-up phase took place where I met with the task force that was put into place. Task force comprised of representatives of the prosecutor's office, the police department, the court of guardianship, and the correctional institute. We had a very positive meeting, and remember at the beginning of my term, and when announcing the initial actions that would be taken, we asked for a period of 3 months to normalize the situation. Okay, that was in February. So that we are still in that process of normalizing the situation. But that doesn't mean that nothing is happening. But what is happening right now is basically not visual. No, it's not the visibility of exactly what is happening is not always there, besides the change in management.